Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about mindfulness for parents and how you can use it to become the parent you've always wanted to be. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Soraya, I'm a mother of two beautiful children, and here on this channel I talk about mindful parenting, children empowerment, and social emotional learning. This video is meant to be an introduction to mindfulness for parents. I will explain what mindfulness is and why it can be an incredibly useful and powerful tool for parents that helps us respond to situations rather than react to them, build a stronger bond with our children, and learn to accept our children for who they really are, without the veils of our own fears and expectations. I will cover 4 key concepts that are essential to understanding what mindfulness is about and how it works. Paying attention in the present moment, doing inner work to become a better parent, responding rather than reacting to difficult moments, and accepting our children as they are. In this video, we will not go into specific techniques and mindfulness exercises yet, as I think it is important to lay a solid foundation first. However, this video is only the first one of a series of videos that I have planned on mindfulness for parents. In later videos, I will give practical tips, techniques, and exercises that you can use to train yourself to use mindfulness. I will be giving you concrete examples of how I use mindfulness in our home. If you haven't already, you can click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss the next videos in this series. You will see in this video that I am often quoting the book Everyday Blessings, Mindfulness for Parents by Myla and John Kabat-Zinn, which is an amazing book that I highly recommend for any parent wanting to use mindfulness. But I have also completed 2 courses in mindfulness, including a certified one, and so the information that I am sharing with you is from my readings, the courses I have completed, and my own experience practicing mindfulness. Let's start with the first key principle: paying attention. Mindful parenting means being fully present in the moment with our children, free from distraction or judgment, and with a soft and open mind. As Myla and John Kabat-Zinn describe it, practicing mindfulness means that we become able to give our children our undivided attention at the present moment. We learn to take care of one thing in this moment and another thing in the next, moment by moment, task by task. And so it's the ability to truly pay attention in the present moment without letting thoughts about the past or about the future invade our mind. And as parents, our minds spend a lot of time in the past or in the future. We feel guilty about situations we didn't handle well yesterday, or we worry about what we're gonna cook for dinner tonight. So many times I'm with my children, but I'm not really there. My mind is not in the present moment with them. It is wandering in the past or in the future. I'm thinking about stuff that have happened, or I'm thinking about stuff that I need to get done. But don't we all remember being a child and suddenly realizing that the adult we're talking to isn't really listening to us, isn't really paying attention? At least I do. And so now when I see my toddler noticing that I'm not really there, I feel bad because I never want her to think that she or what she has to say or this moment that we are sharing isn't important to me. Also, time is passing so fast and I want to be able to cherish every minute with my children. I don't want to lose those precious moments because I was thinking about a work email I needed to send. That's where mindfulness has really helped me and made a huge difference in my ability to pay attention and be in the present moment with my children. Practicing mindfulness helps us increase our ability to pay attention in the present moment and sustain that attention over long periods of time. It's not an easy thing to do because our brains are so used to wandering from one thought to another, and so it's not easy for the mind to sit still. That's why mindfulness requires being intentional and lots of practice and lots of self-discipline. It takes work and effort, and we slowly learn over time not to be constantly carried away by our thoughts and emotions. In later videos, I will share with you some practical tips and mindfulness exercises that you can use to cultivate mindfulness. Which leads me to the next key principle of mindfulness: doing the inner work. Parenthood is an incredible opportunity to work on ourselves. Don't you think that it's amazing that the sun rises every day to a new day and a new opportunity to be a better human and a better parent? More than this, young children are so incredibly forgiving. I can recall times when I lost my cool and I yelled at my toddler, yet the next minute she was ready to cuddle and giggle with me. And so it's not just every day that's an opportunity to be a better parent, but every moment of every day. Myla and John describe parenthood as an opportunity to truly understand who we are and to do the inner work to liberate ourselves from some of our fears and what they call prisons of the mind that have been passed down to us or that we have constructed for ourselves. For example, someone may have had a parent who used to yell at them or spank them when they were a child, and so they've been used from a very young age to strong and maybe even violent displays of anger as a response to difficult moments. And so now as a parent themselves, they don't want to do the same to their child because they know how much this has hurt them. But it can be very hard to free themselves of patterns of behavior they have internalized since childhood. And so parenthood forces them to do the inner work of learning to behave differently, unlearning verbal and physical violence, and learning new ways of responding to situations. As Myla and John state in their book, as they grow, children constantly challenge every place that we might be holding an expectation, a fixed opinion, a cherished belief, a desire for things to be a certain way. For me at least, there is no doubt that motherhood has been an incredible journey of self-reflection and growth. And mindfulness allows us to see each moment as an opportunity to tune in and do the inner work of understanding who we are, who our children are, so that we can provide them with what they need most in each moment. Talking about breaking patterns of behavior, mindfulness also teaches us how to respond rather than react to situations, which is the third key principle. Let me explain. Reacting is an impulsive and emotional response driven by our hopes and attachments. For example, we may get really frustrated with a toddler who is asking something of us because we had hoped to be able to sit down quietly and work or eat in peace. Something that happens to me very often. Responding, on the other hand, is more thoughtful and requires taking a moment to be aware of the situation and the different feelings and competing needs involved, and use our reasoning and empathy to form an appropriate response. And so I think it's very easy to see how responding rather than reacting is not only the best way to help the situation and to resolve the problem, but also it's the best way to preserve the relationship between you and your child. And so the first step towards mindfulness is becoming more aware of our reactions and catching them before responding. But there is something important to note here. One of the key lessons I learned through practicing mindfulness is that mindfulness is not about always being calm. When I first started my journey to mindful parenting, I was hoping to learn how to never be angry or frustrated with my children again. I wanted to be able to respond rather than react, and I was looking for a magical cure to anger and frustration and overwhelm. In fact, I quickly learned that emotions will always be there as a normal part of our human nature. There will always be things that make me tick, trigger me, or upset me. And there will always be times when I'm overtired and overwhelmed and overstressed, and when I have less patience than usual. After all, I'm not a monk at the top of the mountain. I'm a busy mom with 2 very young children, and so I am bound to go through moments of stress, frustration, impatience, and even anger. But mindfulness helps me not to act out on those emotions. I still feel them, but I'm learning to become aware of their presence without acting out on them. It's like the sea in a storm. No matter how violent the storm, if you swim deep enough, the water will be completely still. The human mind is the same. Mindfulness teaches you how to get back to the stillness, even though there may be a storm at the surface. Another way of describing it would be as Headspace explained in one of their videos, which I will link in the description box below, as if you were sitting by the side of the road watching cars go by. Cars represent all of your different emotions, but instead of throwing yourself in the middle of the traffic and running after the cars, you can simply stay by the side of the road, take notice of them without acting on them. It doesn't mean that you don't respond to the situation, it just means that instead of an emotional, impulsive, sometimes harsh reaction, you can form an appropriate and helpful response. And this is the key to mindfulness. It's not about being numb and not feeling anything. It's about learning to be aware of our emotional reactions without acting out on them, so that we can respond to situations in the best possible way and give our children what they need most in each moment. As Myla says in the introduction of the book, parenting mindfully helps me to see myself and gives me a way to work with the difficult moment and the automatic reactions that arise easily in me at such times. Reactions that are often limiting, harsh, or destructive to my children's well-being. And finally, the last key aspect of mindfulness is acceptance, being able to observe the situation, our children, and our own feelings in a non-judgmental way and with an open mind. It is a fundamental element of mindful parenting. It means accepting that our children are as they are, whether they are the way we want them to be or not. And it is acceptance that enables us to choose how to be in relation to what is happening. Remember how we were just talking about responding, not reacting? This is very difficult to do without acceptance. As Myla says in the book, mindfulness helps me to see my children more clearly as they are, without the veils of my own fears, expectations, and needs, and to see what is truly called for in each moment. Accepting our children as they are may sound simple, and you may be thinking, of course I love my children as they are, but in reality it isn't quite so easy and straightforward. How often do you find yourself wanting your children to act or be different from what they are in that moment? I am certainly guilty of that. When my toddler throws herself on the floor screaming in the supermarket, I am overwhelmed by stress, and in that moment, I am feeling conscious of all the people staring, of their judgment. I feel bad about the discomfort that they are experiencing while my child is screaming. I'm thinking about how dirty the floor is, and I really don't want my toddler to be rubbing herself against the floor. And I am quick to label her behavior as bad behavior or difficult behavior, because in that moment, I'm only focusing on my need for her not to make a scene in public and my expectation that she should be able to handle a trip to the supermarket calmly. I am only thinking about how I wish she would behave instead of observing the situation in an accepting and non-judgmental manner so that I can form an appropriate response. Myla and John explain it very well. We often find that our view is colored by our own needs, by our fears, and our expectations, and by the extent or lack of our resources in that moment. The truth is, as parents, we sometimes forget that our children are children. We forget that a toddler is a toddler, and we expect of them things that do not correspond to their age or their level of development, or things that they simply aren't ready for, even if other kids their age might be. It was unfair of me to expect my 3-year-old to quietly follow me around for an hour at the supermarket and then get mad at her for throwing a tantrum. She's a 3-year-old, so yeah, she does 3-year-old stuff. And using mindfulness in difficult moments helps us see the situation from a different perspective and with more clarity. It enables us to see beyond our own needs and expectations and to look for the underlying reason behind our children's tantrums or behaviors. To quote Myla and John again, in such moments, we need to find ways to move with our children rather than only offer resistance, to work with them rather than against them. Acceptance and being non-judgmental is key, because if we are stuck with the thought that our child is difficult or challenging, we are completely unable to see what they truly need in that specific moment. I have several videos planned on acceptance and on, managing those difficult moments. So, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss those videos. Accepting our children as they are also means accepting them wholly, with their personality, their interests, their strengths and weaknesses. And again, maybe right now you're thinking, of course I love my children wholly as they are. Do we always though? We parents have a tendency from the moment we find out that we're expecting to place so many hopes and dreams and expectations on our children. Maybe we dream of a sweet little baby who sleeps through the night by 12 weeks old and giggles joyfully as soon as we enter the room. Maybe we dream of a calm and studious child who loves school and performs beyond expectations and is all set for a top career. What happens then when we have a baby who sleeps very little and never for longer than 45 minutes at a time? Or a baby who doesn't laugh all that much? What happens if we have a child who hates the rigidity of traditional school and only dreams of running in the forest or, writing poetry sitting by the side of a window? Can we accept them and love them as they are? Can we stop sighing with regret? I wish my child was more like this. I wish my child was less like that. Can we let go of the dream child we had in our mind to make room for the one who is right in front of us? Acceptance will help us let go of the dream child so that we can truly see all of the treasures and the wonders that the child right in front of us has to offer. And this is particularly true for parents who have a child who is strong-willed, and sometimes it may be challenging to set boundaries with children who are very strong-willed. And so, parents who have children like that, you will often find them, regretting that their child isn't more easygoing and more obedient. But as parents, our role is not to force our children to fit into a box, even if it's a really pretty box that we have created for them with lots of love. Our role is to help our children grow into the best possible version of themselves. As Myla says in her book, it is to make plenty of room for them to find their own ways to be in the world. It is to give them the tools that they need to live a happy, fulfilling life, while keeping in mind that what makes me or you happy and fulfilled may not be what makes them happy and fulfilled. If you're ready to go with me on a journey of self-growth so that we can be better parents each and every day, be present in the moment with our children, know how to give them what they need most in each moment, and learn to accept them as they are, keep an eye out for the videos I have coming up on mindful parenting. In the meantime, you can check out my Positive Discipline playlist in the description box below, where I have already shared loads of powerful, effective tips and techniques to manage difficult moments while preserving our relationship with our children. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.